All right, so this is SlapperCast. What episode is this, Slapperheads?
This is episode number 278.
78. Excellent. Excellent.
Yep.
That was the number I was hoping for. Today is the eve of our Continental show. We're going to take a young Frank Sartain for the first time to the Continental Club tomorrow, which very, very excited about. Young man's been working his ass off. Sartain in French means assless from working. And he's been adding some trumpet, some keyboards, and some harmony vocals to our set. And it's been, I have to say, me personally, it's been a joy to hear these different takes on these old numbers. We had a young fella, not so young, a little bit older, too old for me, but he said at a private party we did, he said, you guys should record some new songs. And we were like, yeah, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. So he's grounded and no phone for him. And we did take it into account. So yeah, very excited about that. We're going to be doing some versions of some songs that you wouldn't imagine that we would attempt like this. But it's been joyous. I know my black soul has been just a tinge darker, knowing that these arrangements are getting a little bit of a kick in the Sartain, if you know what I mean.
Nice.
I like that.
Well, good. You don't have a choice.
That might be a nice title.
So we're doing a little different SlapperCast here, as somebody's computer decided to go back to the dark ages. So this is going to be a little choppy. Our editor has nothing better to do than sit around and do these fucking edits all day. So, but anyway, so what's been new? What's been happening? Anybody? Everybody? What's new?
Yeah, rush hour traffic with no air conditioning. That was fun. Lots of web design projects. Yeah, yeah, that was fucking miserable. Anyway, sauna on wheels.
Yeah, it's like turbo weightlifting in the sauna. Came in, he was dripping wet. Dripping wet. Yeah, Turbo, I don't think you can get all of that in the shot.
No, I had to pull that down. I had to back up.
So Turbo, what's new with you?
Well, I want to say something about practice last night. Going over the vocals. I wish there was a camera from my perspective, because when I sang the part correctly versus when I didn't sing the part, Chad's facial expressions. It was like, so when I would miss it, he would be like, give me the no, and then when I get it, like, okay,
yeah,
dude, it was gold, dude. It was so good.
Well, we have the tapes, but the tapes would actually show that nobody was really in tune, because everybody's trying to listen and sing at the same time, and we didn't had we all got this stuff in advance, maybe we could work on it, maybe we wouldn't, but we have we're doing it on the fly. So if you're singing along with the radio and you're singing like Chad likes to do, he likes to harmonize with Celine Dion. That's how he gets into his Pilates class and into that mindset. And but when you sing, although it sounds good in your head, or if you're driving, it sounds good in the car or in the shower or whatever. However, if you were to tape that thing and you were to send it out, people are going, that's not quite. So that's what was happening yesterday. And Chad, like I said, was in a great fucking mood, because he came in, he's just sweating like a rapist and just miserable. And of course we're already set up, and he's like dripping wet, and just rush hour traffic in Houston and all that stuff. And then we jump right into vocals. And so he was kind of, and I was like, fucking calm down.
I was very testy and impatient. That was my bad.
Yeah, but vocals are not easy. Vocals are not, and you've often heard me on SlapperCast to say, how crappy some vocalists are, and again, it's not my place to say. However, I do say it because I'm opinionated and loud and obnoxious and hairy, and I could go on, but I won't. It's all relative, I mean, but vocals, and let me just go back to last week or 2 weeks ago, the SlapperCast from 2 weeks ago. We asked the question for who's the best frontman of all time. And I guess it should have been stipulated, there should have been criteria. There should have been boxes to tick, because people are coming in to saying Mick Jagger. And of course, I'm not a Rolling Stones fan, nor could I give a fuck about Mick Jagger. But and maybe obviously he's been doing it for a long time. But and I've never seen him in concert, so there's that. So again, I've never been a fan. When you put the Beatles and the Stones side by side, I don't think there's any competition, because to me, the Beatles went all in on harmony, and you could see that. I mean, their trajectory just went whoop. I mean, where the Stones, and I forget who it was. It'll come to me not soon enough, but it'll come to me later. What somebody said, the Stones basically went to America playing American cover songs, and they did. And Beatles wrote their own shit. I mean, of course, they went to Hamburg and they learned their craft, and they got all their thousands and hundreds of thousands of hours on stage, and that stage time together, which is crucial in any band. But they, the harmonies, the intricacies of the songs, and of course the originals, which I love. And I always feel silly talking about the Beatles when we have Chad sitting there, because Chad knows so much more than I do about the Beatles. But I'm just saying, it's a matter of taste. Anyway, so what I was saying with the frontmen, I mean, the criteria should have been, banter, which is huge to me. Obviously, you got to be able to front the band, meaning sing and do, and keep the crowd's attention, a la David Lee Roth, Freddie. I mean, and I'm embarrassed to say Prince, to say that I forgot to say Prince as a frontman. I mean, did he need anybody else? No.
Did you ever see him live?
No, God,
Prince?
I wish I did. I'd be a better musician if I did.
Phenomenal performer, but did he really have much stage banter going on in his show? I don't know. I just don't recall ever seeing him like interacting with the audience much beyond just performing and singing. So I don't know. I'm wondering if that
I can't say banter
if he even fits the criteria.
I can't say banter as far as David Lee Roth banter. And maybe Turbo, you can chime in with somebody, like some of your heroes that had stage banter. But think about Prince's obviously rehearsed, but still off the cuff sounding, break it down, other being able to sandwich other songs, switch other songs, and meld songs together, which is a huge love. Blaggards obviously love doing that. Another one is Bruce Springsteen. I mean, whether you like him or not, he's an incredible frontman. Yes, he can still sing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, all these boxes should, there should have been, a bunch of boxes to tick as far as, or to check as far as, stage banter. How do they look? Like, if you're a Nirvana fan, I'm sure you think that Kurt Cobain was a great front. However, that kind of out of tune, gruff kind of, great band, but again, not my style. I was more I'd be more in the Freddie Mercury camp. But I mean, as far as David Lee Roth went, just look across the 80s, just look backwards, throughout the 80s, and see the bands that came from that, from him. And to this day, you can still see David Lee Roth. Now, granted, he did come from Jim Dandy, which was Black Oak, Arkansas, with Tommy Aldridge on drums. Yes. David Lee Roth came straight from that. But David Lee Roth, again, took it to a whole nother level as far as frontmen go. So it was just great to read all the comments, these chicken shit, comments would come in, no, he's not, and say nothing else, offer nothing in return,
and then they
and then they disappear. But again, I understand that that's the way of the internet. That's the way of the the climate in which we live. It's make fun and run away. But back to what we were doing last night, and again, go ahead, Turbo. Sorry.
I said a lot of them too are going to pick their favorite band. They're going to rope in their favorite band to a favorite frontman. Because I even caught myself doing that. As far as banter goes, the bands that I listened to when I was younger, in the punk rock world. Blink was notorious for banter. I thought it was a little too much when I was younger. I was like, man, play a song. But now I like it. Now because I feel like it's like almost like a matured banter now. When I went and saw them, last year, they had some similarities, kind of like how you do your style, boss man. And they would kind of set the joke up and then sort of bring it back. And I thought, oh man, like some things have sort of matured in the way that they do it. And I enjoyed that a whole lot more. But when I was younger, I was like, I'm like, I wanted to be up front, jump and scream. Let's go. I didn't want to listen to it,
Sure.
Yeah. And again, too much is sometimes too much. It really is. If you have somebody in there, there's some bands, especially local bands that I've seen that rely too much on. Played with them. We played with them a bunch too. We played with a few of these bands that will nearly force. And I'll use a new verb. They'll Cosby their way into a bit on stage, meaning no permission and just do. Meaning we're going to put a singing part for you, the crowd, or a just a call and response segment that the crowd has to jump in and and participate in, and they don't really have. You kind of have to have the know-how to do this. I've tried it many times and failed to get the crowd to to come in and sing with you, and a lot of the times they're just not ready for it. Nor it might not be that listening. It might be a listening crowd and not a participatory audience, a la Yonkers, New York.
Yes.
Cocksucking capital of the world, not in a good way.
Yeah.
They
footnote to episode blah blah blah.
Yeah, they literally wanted human jukebox, and they wanted and the owner wanted 5 hours of nonstop, no break, constant, no repeat, upbeat. It's just on and on and on. Just this ridiculous.
Yeah. It really. I know we told this story, but it really felt like we were being trolled by or like punked by the audience. But we found, as we said, that we found out later from the guy who got us that gig. I'm spacing on his name right now, but the Irish guy who sings in New York got us that gig, and you mentioned that to him. He's like, yeah, the audience was kind of tough, and he says, oh yeah, that's just how Yonkers is. So apparently, I don't know if it's a Yonkers thing or that bar.
It's a Yonkers thing, and he said his name is Porg Allen. He plays with a band called McLean Street, and we had actually met him. He was playing guitar and singing for Derek Warfield and the Young Wolf Tones when they came to Houston many moons ago. But he had said after that, and he said, "Oh, I should have told you." He said, "I forgot to mention they do not applaud, and they do not. They basically don't know you're there until they want to hear, something." Something that I remember one guy going, play some Guns N' Roses. And he turns around, he keeps dancing to whatever we're doing. And I said, yeah, I'll play some Guns N' Roses. Next song is called Fuck You. He's like, it wouldn't have been so bad, except the owner, if I remember correctly, was standing at the side of the stage, just arms folded, the whole time.
Oh yeah, the bartender was a total prick, as I recall.
The whole place was. Yeah. It was just, and there's a really good bar. There's a really good bar next door, which we found out later is a whole different atmosphere. But again, it's that, it's that, as the Pogues would say, it's the sunny side of the street. You just got to go with it, and you have to do it. Fair play to the lineup we had at the time. Nobody complained. I do remember having to do an extended intro to one of the songs while somebody ran to the restroom, but we didn't stop. We didn't repeat, and we didn't, and it's a testament to what what we have. It's just a testament to the song list and the repertoire, that we possess. It's nice. What's the number one song that we did last Saturday at Continental Club? Anybody know?
I think PLFM was pretty good. By the way, I was listening to that, the vocal, the new arrangements for the backing vocals and everything on that.
Yeah,
on the recording, on the last night's rehearsal recording, has no guitar in it. It sounds pretty. That came out really great, actually. All the stuff we wound up doing with vocals, I think, sound really great. So that was when I heard. It's pretty frequent whenever I listen to the mix downs, whether it's a show or a rehearsal, because we're got our in-ears in, and we're listening to our mix and not really the room most of the time. So when I hear the mix is meant to feel and sound like a room. So that's sometimes I hear, oh man, that sounds even better than I thought. And some of those things, like that vocal arrangement we have, it's not exactly, obviously it's not exactly like the record, but it's more reminiscent of what was going on with the more ethereal kind of multi-track thing that was going on Blagmatic. So I'm really keen on that to see how that sounds in the performances now.
Yeah. Well, I'm nodding profusely over here, and again, just for those that don't know, 4 different devices. They cannot see me, the lucky bastards, but we are. But I'm nodding profusely over here because I agree. I was blown away by. Let me backtrack here for 1 second. I was. We've thrown Turbo in the deep end. He's never been a backup singer, nor has he ever been asked to backup sing in harmony, and sometimes even under the evil eye of certain people. So Frank will be joining us, or Frank will have joined us by the time this airs. But Frank has got perfect pitch, which means, ladies, he can. He's like a tantric sex kind of guy. He's about 8.4 seconds in the bed, so much longer than the 3 of us put together. But he's it's just been a delight to listen to. Once we get it going, like I say, it's difficult enough to just sing in tune, but it's another thing to play your instrument, hold the time down, remember that segment of the song, remember how many times we repeat it, remember the brand new stops that we just fucking put in there to trip everybody up on the day of the show, remember the modulation, remember it's just a lot that goes into it, a la the Beatles in, Hamburg, when they did those, however many shows a day, 5, 6, 7 nights a week, this is why these rehearsals are so important, and this is why I'm calling people out on it, because it's a huge undertaking to get these songs. I won't say perfect, because perfect's boring. I like what we're doing. I like that we're kind of adding the moment that we're rehearsing in, and the moment that we're constructing these songs together and these harmonies, building them together, learning them, relearning them, hammering them in, cementing them down, and then taking them out live. I really, really enjoy it. That's why it's been, I kept saying it last night. There was a bunch of the songs that we've recorded, but I really want to record with the 4 of us again, these new, these harmony things. I mean, they're not, it's not easy. It might sound easy, to people that do it all the time, but it's asking people to come in and, just basically throw down on the spot, get it right, remember that, and then do it live. It's impressive. So I enjoyed that tremendously.
So it's really cool when we're all doing it, and then you could just hear it all line up. When everything's together, even if it's a smidge off. But once it sort of syncs up, it's like, whoa! Like, I mean, I don't know how it is what you guys hear. I mean, obviously you guys sing all the time, but I go, oh, that sounds right. That's what my ears tell me. And then I go, that's wrong. You know what I mean? It's like I can tell you the difference between right and wrong. It's just getting to the right. And so, that's kind of what I'm working on now. But it's just it's really cool when once it syncs up, it's like, whoa, like all of a sudden it's like weightless. It's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's what were you gonna say, Chad? You were circling back.
I was going to circle back around to the frontman thing, because I think it's not just the band. We're talking a lot about Stage Banter. I think the aspect we're talking about is like the ability to engage with an audience. Like you're not talking too long, you're not boring them. You're kind of establish a relationship with them on stage, and you're kind of guiding them. And you are obviously, we've talked about, are absolutely brilliant at that. Anybody who has never seen a Blagger show, you don't know. But the world will find out someday if you haven't already. But people like, obviously, Phil Lynott had to learn the hard way. There's the documentary. There's a really great story, which I know you're familiar with, Patrick, that when he first started off, he was terrible at it. And he got raked through the coals by the manager of Slade because he just wasn't doing it. And so he learned the hard way that you really have to engage. And people who are really good at that, he was an absolute pro. Obviously, David Lee Roth, but we've also talked about Bruce Dickinson and his skill at commanding not just an audience, but a massive, audience of however many thousands of people are out there at those shows. That's a gift that most people don't have. And it doesn't bands don't necessarily have to have that, but it's golden if you have it. I mean, like the Beatles, we talked about the Beatles. Neither John nor Paul, or especially not George, neither of them were really frontmen. They would sing lead, but between songs they'd go, all right, thanks. This next song is called, that's all they really did. Sometimes there'd be jokes and stuff, but most of the time that's all it was. They weren't really doing anything similar to what the people we're talking about do. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden obviously is a big hero of mine, and not just because Iron Maiden was one of the first heavier bands to get my attention, but his energy level, like David Lee Roth's. I mean, he just doesn't. Bruce Dickinson might get on your nerves if you're in a band with him and you want to play a guitar solo, and he's getting the band to go, he's got, the audience, just great. So you might have to get used to that. However, it's thrilling to see an audience not just lose their mind, but be held captive and not get a moment off. You're going to have to participate. You're going to have to scream. You're going to have to jump up and down. You're going to have to applaud. You're going to have to, if he's going to give that energy, you're coming for the ride. There are no bystanders, which I love. Freddie was great as far as being able to command the crowd, no question. However, banter, I don't know. I don't know about banter. Stage theatrics and running around, for a time. But I mean, you have to remember he had to a phenomenal piano player too, but he did have to stay stationary with the piano. And whereas David Lee Roth was encumbered by nothing. I mean, he was restrained by nothing. There was no two classic bits of banter. One is slightly, it sounded slightly rehearsed, but it was still a classic. Is Philo on the Live and Dangerous record, and he's introducing Emerald, and he goes, "This song is for all the Irish. Are any Irish out there? Are there any of the girls that would like a little more Irish in them?" That was I was one of my friends. Then of course David Lee Roth. Somebody chucked a bottle at him or something, and he goes, "Yeah, don't be throwing shit at me." He goes, "I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend." and of course. Back in 1982, 1983, your girlfriend is not safe around David Lee Roth. I mean, it's just end of story, But You know, I've seen so many bands in concert. I've seen incredible frontmen. I've seen incredible people don't know, but Karen Carpenter was a hell of a gym. I'm just kidding. So what? Yeah, she's great frontman. No, you know, there's so, you know, to be able to well, and again, one of the I'm really glad we circled back to this, but one of the biggest critiques on David Lee Roth was his voice. You have to remember, you know, 20, 40, 60 Marlboro a day will easily make you sound like Lemmy's rectum on the worst on a colonoscopy with a pineapple day. You know, he is. I mean, David Lee Roth has completely fried every vocal, everything that's to do with his vocal. I mean, it's amazing he can breathe with what he's put in his body. You know, never mind the drugs and the alcohol and the sex and the constant punishment of his being. You know, I mean, he's a mountain climber, he's a hiker, I mean, read his book Crazy from the Heat, and when he goes on safari, when he goes and gets lost in Nepal and gets, I mean, you know, nearly dies from you know, all the elements, you know, listeria, malaria, everything, you know. It's just amazing that guy can still fucking breathe, never mind sing. So yeah, he's put himself through the ringer in every facet of life, and he's still, you know, if he wants to do it.
Yeah, I'd put him in it. I mean, you've really kind of the same kind of amazing class as Bruce Dickinson, because we haven't even mentioned his stint as an EMT for however long he did that. When was that? Roth, was that in the 90s?
Yeah,
was that in the 90s he did that?
I think it was in 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, or maybe early 2000s. But yeah, he went to New York to I mean, you have to read the book. I don't care if you like him or not. Crazy from the Heat is so brilliant. And you've got to get your mind in shape. Your mind's got to go with turbo to the gym and lift some, you know, some serious weights before you can follow this trail of thought. This guy is he's not human. In so he was raised, but his dad was an optometrist, and his dad early on taught him, you know, you're going to come to and Turbo, close your ears. You're going to come with me to work, and you're going to learn the ways of the hospital and the, you know, the ER and the thing, and just threw him in the deep end as a child, you know, but basically, so his work ethic and his life experiences they're unmatched, unparalleled, unattainable for, you know, for the regular human. The guy has been through everything. Yeah. And then, but again, you know, you mentioned Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. That guy is also an Olympic fencer. He's a pilot, commercial and private. He's an author. He's obviously a recording artist. He brews beer. He is people that don't know. He's actually a critique of bad cowboy hats. So he's you know, I mean, he's just another one of these guys that do not fucking challenge him, because you will get fucked. You know, you'll get you know, he will run you over.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah, and if you people have not seen it, if you're not familiar with it, Iron Maiden fans need not be reminded of this, but if you watch the documentary Flight 666, you get to see just how amazing Bruce is in that job, that tour that they did. He's literally flying the Boeing set, whatever the kind of plane, that huge plane that they were flying on their tour.
Yeah, it's a 747 or 757. Yeah, it's a monster. It's one of the big ones it looks like it's pregnant at the top. But a lot of people say it's not as hard as driving a van. But
yes,
yeah, no,
I have heard people say that.
Yeah, many people are saying.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's you know, and again for you know, for frontmen, you know, you can be an Elvis fan, and people say, well, you know, he wasn't that You know, he didn't need to be a front guy because he could literally stand there and have them scream his head off. You know, I mean, he's, you know, same with Tom Jones, same with, you know, but let me pose this question here on SlapperCast episode 278. Let me ask you this. So if you had to have a rock band, and not necessarily a rock band, you just had to have a band, be it a pop band or a rock band or just an upbeat something, what woman would you like to see front your band?
What woman? Does it like current or anybody?
Anybody, anytime. You know, keeping in mind all the stuff that we've just mentioned about the aforementioned Springsteen, Dickinson, Roth, Mercury, Jagger, hold your nose, and Prince. All these monster Philo. You know, what woman would now? A lot of you might not remember, but there was a band called the Plasmatics back in the I think 80s, 70s, 80s, and Wendy O. Williams, and she'd come out couldn't sing that well, but she'd come out in a bikini, and a very, very small bikini at times, or sometimes just tape over her nipples. I mean, she was like I say, not a great singer, but I thought she a great performer. Again, I wouldn't want to hear a whole concert, but because to me, that person, taking charge of the audience, I want them to be able to sing, be engaging, and not that I'm not letting anybody sit down for this show. On and on and on. You know, all the stuff that we mentioned.
All right, I got mine.
All right, who is it?
I'm gonna take Pink.
Good.
That's what I'm taking. Good. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I have to go, and she's a phenomenal singer. But she is great on stage, but she's already in a band. But Rachel Price, lead singer of Lake Street Dive, is absolutely incredible. She's not exactly as out there as Pink as far as running around the stage and stuff like that, but she is really, really great at what she does. Also, I think one of the greatest vocalists I've ever heard in my life, to boot. I was thinking too, my first thought actually was Kate Bush, just because I want to see it, but I think she had like a lifelong stage fright issue, so she didn't really perform very often, as far as I recall. But she was, the stuff I've seen of her, she was just really electric.
Great voice. Great voice.
Yeah.
My pick would have to be Vince. My pick would have to be Vince Neil. For I mean, I think she's pregnant. She sounds like she's always hungry. No, that's not right. No, but can you tell me off the top of your head, Kate Bush, excluding Kate Bush, which performer? What's the name of the what performer had the worst documented stage fright in rock and roll history? Does anybody know?
Probably Brian Wilson, I'd imagine. I don't know if that's really stage fright, but more of his mental illness that he was suffering from.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about pure stage fright.
Yeah. The first guy left to mind just now was Andy Partridge, XTC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They stopped touring really early on in their career because he couldn't handle being on stage anymore. It was like really crippling for him, as I recall.
Turbo, do you have any idea?
Was that? I can't remember the reason why they stopped. I think it might be state. What about the presidents of the United States of America? Didn't they kind of spiked, and I think they had something. Maybe they just didn't like the touring or something, but there was something in there why they just sort of abruptly didn't do it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either. That sounds now that you're saying it, but again, I might just be agreeing with you because you threatened us before we turned the cameras on. Mine, the reason why I thought of that when you said stage fright, the person that comes to mind for me is Van Morrison, and the reason, yeah, we had Ash Sohn, the drummer, on this show. We had him on SlapperCast maybe 2 years ago. I mean, it was early.
Yeah, great interview. You check
Great
it out.
Yeah. Really, I really. But his description of playing with Van Morrison is it's because he's such a great storyteller, and because he's so well traveled. It sounds to me like he's one of these. Excuse me. It sounds to me like he's a. It didn't sound. Ash Stone comes off as one of these amazing. I mean, he is an amazing player, but he's just a great storyteller. When he's on, you're there. You're in that. You know, he tells the great Sinead O'Connor story. But the Van Morrison story, I actually remember looking that up. And Van Morrison is so socially awkward, and he's so uncomfortable with being on stage that his manager at one point, I think it was the band's last, might have been their last public performance, but the Van Morrison's manager had to physically push him on the stage because he wouldn't go. I mean, he was just, and he ended up, he ends up, people think he's a curmudgeon, which I'm sure he is as well, but he actually ends up being even more so because he can't, you know, again, quote unquote, what normal people call socialize. He can't, you know, it's quite an amazing story, and I had no idea. I've enjoyed many Van Morrison songs, and if I was to shine a light on a song today, this episode 278, I would have to say, I love Moondance. I know that's a cheesy, well-known song, but that one and Into the Mystic are songs that I can listen to every day of my life. I could listen to it every day. I just think just so brilliant. And sorry, that was a Van Halen to Van Morrison segue that I guess nobody else could you know would dare attempt because of their normal brain structure. But yeah, I think it's amazing because people ask us all the time. I know they've asked you guys. They ask me all the time. They go, "Are you nervous before the show?" I am so fucking nervous before every show. You guys have seen it. I'll pace the stage left to right, front to back, round and round. Not wanting to play that first. And I've said it before here on SlapperCast that if I could skip the first note or the first verse and just be in the song, just appear in the song, I would be. I mean, it's not crippling. I'm not trying to say, you know, but I just get so nervous every show.
Yeah. Is that the hurdle, the beginning of the first song for you? Like, are you okay once you're past?
Yeah, most times. Okay. Most times. But yeah, that first note, get me past that first note and we're laughing.
Yeah. And I'd say that is a burden that you carry. Not saying I don't get nervous. I do. But sometimes in the middle of a show, depending on what's going on. But it's not the same as what you're talking about, because I have experienced that as well. And I still remember the very first time I ever performed with a band. I think I've told this story here too, with my high school band Elemental Penguin. I was literally hyperventilating before I went on stage, and one of my bandmates had to come and help me calm. You know, breathe deep. And every time I've experienced that kind of panic before going on stage, it's usually like right as, like they're saying, like right as when the first song starts, I'm in front of the mic and I'm like, okay, we're going, at least we're active. Everything's okay now. It's that wait. And I've said that before. I hate the waiting. Every gig, it's true with every gig. Like if we get there like 5 hours early for sound check, and then we have to figure out what to do with ourselves for, you know, up until showtime, sometimes it's just murder. You know, people wonder why we're hiding somewhere. Like, I know our fans always want to talk to us before shows, but it's not easy for me, especially to be sociable right before a gig. I'm like, it's not that I don't want to talk to anybody. It's just like, it's energy I'm giving away that I want to save for the show. That's part of it. There's also too that the danger of being in a loud room, like and having to raise your voice to talk right before a show. It's like, I don't want to wear my voice out either. That's happened sometimes between sets at shows. That's a different issue, but it's something you learn. The nervousness is something you learn to ride. You know, it's something that every performer deals with, I think. But it's fascinating to me that some people can't get a handle on it, I guess.
What's the worry? What's the nervousness? Like, what are you thinking about? Like, are you worried that it's not going to start right? Like, is it the response? Like, what is it? I'm just trying to get inside your mind right here. What?
Well, for me personally,
I can tell you what my worry is, but I'm curious if it's the same.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it. Or I mean, are you just you want to hear it first?
Yeah.
Okay. So mine is this. We start, and my best example is an example that I hope that not many people ever have to go through, and it ended up being wonderful, and we ended up getting a lifelong friend out of it. But the one that I remember most vividly, and I can still feel that I still don't trust my knees to this day, meaning I felt like I was going to collapse. I felt like my knees were going to buckle. I was just going to go face flat, on my face on the floor. Was in Minnesota, and we were on tour. It was the drummerless tour, and we ended up because of the wonderful traffic. We ended up getting there probably about 45 minutes later than we wanted to be, and the drummer, who we had never met, was had already had his drums set up in the club, and we walked into a drum kit, and the drum kit had dust on it, which is not a good sign for a drum kit nor a band that's going to play with a drummer that had not played with, we'd never played with before. And the story, very, very quickly, as briefly as I can make it, is we had a drummer who we fired, and then we had another drummer who basically led us along for a month, and then 3 days before the tour backed out. And then we had another bass player who could play drums, who jumped in to play drums for the tour. And then 1 day before we left, his girlfriend, who was heavily pregnant, don't look at me, look at Chad. She was heavily pregnant. I was just restarting my video, Chad. Just FYI, I've been stopping it every 7 minutes and starting a new one.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Anyway, so she was heavily pregnant and cursing Chad, and she said, "Look, I'm not comfortable with you going, on this 2-week tour up the Midwest and back when I'm about to blow out any day." So we ended up going with that. We called all the clubs. We said, "Hey, you've got two choices. One, we come up with the 3-piece, guitar, bass, and fiddle, or we don't come at all." Everybody said, "Come on, not a question. Let's go. We'll just do it." So anyway, so we arrive in this one and we had been calling people on the way. This is the MySpace days. We called all these people on the way. This is way too long for such a small payoff. But we had been calling other bands and people in the area, in the general vicinities of the clubs that we were going to, and we had come across a dear friend of ours, Bob and Lorene, some dear friends of ours in St. Charles, just outside of Chicago. Their cousin Ben, who lived up close to there anyway, was able to show up and play with us. Listen to the stuff, and we kind of still look. We'll just tell you how the song goes, and we'll just play it. What we get, we'll get. Anyway, so we go to start the first song, and I think it was "Ring of Fire," but I remember turning to him and saying, "Hey, this is how it goes. I'm going to count you in, and we're just going to go. Let's go." And I turned to the microphone, and I said, "Fuck." I said, "Motherfuck." I said, "Cocksuck, motherfuck." I said, "What if this guy?" We didn't hear him play a lick. We didn't hear him touch the snare. We didn't hear him tune it. Nothing. There was dust on the drum kit. Dust on the drum kit, kids. And we started playing, and we had a blast. But that second before we started, before I counted 1, 2, 3, I said, "What if he can't play? What if he get cha 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 what do we get?" And it could easily. We've played with that before. We've had people come up to us and say, "Hey, we can play. Let us sit in," and we've let them sit in, and then we get fucked. So that was the like I say, long walk for such a crappy view. But
he did great.
Yeah, no, he was tremendous. Ben Hales, who we still keep in touch with to this day, and we love dearly. But that moment of turning to the mic with the audience in front of you and going, "Oh God!" So that's a regular occurrence in my head when we start to play at any place that we're doing. You know, I just, what if, you know, everything can happen, anything and every. So Turbo, wait, you know, sorry about that. The length was way too much, but so give me yours.
I don't have that. Like, you know, I get, I'm actually more nervous about like somebody sidetracking me before we start. So it's like, that's why I kind of like to be almost disappeared for the 5 minutes before. I don't mind the hours before, but like right before, because if somebody, you know, I could get distracted. So if somebody were to talk to me, I'll be like, oh, wait a minute. It's showtime. You know what I mean? That's why I sort of gravitate to the van. And then I just stayed like in the shadow. I got one eye on you the whole time going, I'm just going to trail. So, you know, and I think that sort of calms that down. But I don't know if it's the fact that I'm not in front of the mic. You know, I'm kind of second tier. So, you know, I've got like a layer in front of me. You know, but that's sort of my, you know, my thing, you know, in front of it. But I don't have like, I'm like, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. We're just gonna have to fix it. Like, I don't,
and we're professional. You know, we make sure that if the wheels do fall off, we can fix it. We can, you know, it's not the end of the world. It just feels like it. It just feels like there's there's no, like that's my thing is my breath gets tight. And I can't tell you the amount of times that we've gone to start a show and somebody comes up and go, hey, just so you know, my brother, my mother, my 3 sisters, everybody just died in a plane crash and go have a great show. I was like,
oh yeah,
I can't tell you the amount of times, you know, that, you know, it's just, it's I understand, you know, I understand that we are friends. I understand that we've got the thing, but man, there's a 45-minute window that you could have given me before you give me that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
You know, that, or if it's like, you know, that's when the alarm's going off at your house. Yeah. It's always like, you know, I used to have my phone with me. Now, other than my ears, I'm like, no. For about 30 minutes prior, I'm like, I might goof off, but I'm like, I shut that thing down because I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to do anything.
Yep.
That's where I'm like, you're kind of waiting for that little bong to happen right before, but yeah.
It makes me think of this meme I've seen a bunch of our musician friends on Facebook posting recently. It's something that says, normalize not talking to musicians in the middle of a song. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that happens all the time. People will come up and say, hey, do you know this? And you go, can you see this metal thing on my fucking mouth? You know, this is not, you know, I'm not trying to come on to your mother. This is an actual microphone, you know, fucking, you know, but this song that I'm about to request is so much more important than your relationship with the audience at this moment, because it's in my head. So it's got to be in yours. You know, and no, I don't know that song. Well, here, let me sing you a couple of bars. And they go, well, that's not going to fucking help.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
It's even more awkward now because we're using the in-ears. Somebody comes up to talk or ask something, I can't hear a damn thing they're saying. And I'm like pointing at my ear. I say, I can't hear you. And sometimes I have to say, sorry, I can't help you right now. And then my favorite too is when they try to hand you something when you're playing it. Like, here, take it. Like, I can't. No, take it. It's cool. Like, no, it's not. I can't stop playing the song to take your note or your. Even if sometimes they're going to hand me a drink or a tip or something. Like, I can't. Put it down there. You know, it's hilarious to me that people just don't clock to that. They're like, he's got his hands work. Why can't he just extend his hand and take what I'm offering him?
Well, I guess with a name like
I love the kids that'll. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Turbo.
I love the kids that I can see it clear as day because from my vantage point, they're nervous to talk to you, boss man. So they'll come to me on the break and be like, hey, do you think you can request this song from him? I go, why don't you ask him? Can you ask him? Yeah, I just think that's so cool. That's so funny. I'm like, I'll do my best, but he doesn't really like me, you know? Like,
that's funny. Let me also
more times than you would think. Like that's happened a lot.
Let me tell you something that doesn't happen often. That happened this very day, though, on episode 278 SlapperCast. Let me tell you this, and then we'll wrap this up because I know you people you've been very, very generous with your time here, listening to us blather on. But this did happen today, and it can be verified, and it will be verified at another date. But our dear friends Julia and Cameron are in Tuscany right now. And I got a video this morning. Not only are they in Tuscany in a wine cellar, of course they are, but they are taking time from their sightseeing and their swinging, Cameron. They're taking time right now to not just play Blaggards in this beautiful, picturesque vineyard in Tuscany, but the guy that works there knows Blaggards. He goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "I used to work in this pub up in Bumfuck, Idaho, wherever the hell it was." He goes, and they used to play them all the time because I love those guys. So I just not only are
nice.
Cameron and Julia spreading they're the owners of the Home Sweet Farm Beer Garden in Brenham, Texas, and so August 3rd we'll be doing our Pirate Festival there. We will be bringing extra to them on that day because they're not only spreading the word, but they're also reinforcing, what Blaggards have built throughout the years. And it's just a thrill. It's a thrill to get, to get that correspondence on their time that, they're taking time on their vacation on this trip of a lifetime to contact Blaggards and let us know that they're, it's such a great feeling. And so I just wanted to share that today. And
that's wonderful.
Isn't that great?
It still blows my mind whenever somebody says, and it's going way back to the beginning when we first put standards out, there's somebody contacts, hey, well, I was just in this bar in Scotland or Germany, and they Drunken Sailor came on, and it still blows my. I would think back to like when, and this is so simple to think about now, but when Standards was first played on KPFT, and we were so excited. I remember running out to my car when and it seems silly to think about now because these are friends of ours. Pete Little, Jay Dooling. We used to see them every week back in those days, and of course they play our music. They would play our music every Saturday. I think that's when, or was it on Sunday back in those days? I can't remember. But anyway, it was like 6:00, whatever day that was. Running out to my car and turning on the radio because it's the only place I had a radio, and turning it on and just be like, just so excited. And so that's what I feel like whenever I hear about somebody heard our song in this country or that state, or it's still absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah.
I'll never
it really is. It is a thrill. And we're like I say, we're so grateful, not only listening to SlapperCast, but, for, coming to the shows and, telling people about the music, playing the music. It's just, it really is. It truly is just the best job in the world. No offense, CB in the Woodlands. It's, there's nothing better. And we're so grateful to all of you, but we have, we got a lot of work to do. We've got a show tomorrow, which is already passed here in Slapperland, but we want to just invite you to the website, invite you to comment on this thing too. If you have, if you want to correct Chad or Turbo in any of their mistakes, a la Blueberry Jagger or whatever the fuck, just
Blueberry Jagger, I like that.
Do you have do you have any questions? Do you have any I don't want to point any fingers but Mary, Kate, Hello Kitty Bates, and Emily are the number one contributors right now. So just want to say, I don't want to have to call you out every week, but you should be on here debating with us, or masturbating as they say it over in Impalerland. And for those that don't know, this Saturday we're celebrating Impaler Day. Chad is going to turn about 67, 68 years old. And we're so grateful for his many, many years of service. And I hope the Depends hold. And we're just, we mean it when we say happy birthday, Chad. And you're easily the second best bass player we've ever had.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I know better. No, this guy came up to me, big guy, strong guy, tears in his eyes, and he said, yeah, Chad's the best place player you've ever had. And I said, yeah, you're right. So, just
what was it? Me?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but you should cut that. But yeah, we are thrilled. Hey, sign up for Ireland. Let's go to Ireland this year. We're going north and south, which means buy Ireland.
Yes.
B-I Ireland. Birish. So yeah, sign up. Let's go. We're gonna have a great time, and we do have some news coming up on that. We got great dates booked, and we've got a couple of announcements that we're going to be making next week about our Irish trip, and we just don't let's go, jump on.
And if you don't have a passport, as Patrick found out recently, they've made some change recently, so it's a lot easier to book an appointment now to get a passport. To apply for a passport, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Like it's So you can probably go to your local post office to get it rolling, which didn't for a while. It wasn't a thing, I guess. So now they're bringing it back. I'm not sure exactly what.
Well, what happened was during the dark plague days, everything kind of ground to a halt, and there was no. There was just the expediting meant you were going to get it 6 months earlier than the rest of the people. Now, but yeah, I think they've just boosted the program and whatnot. So it should take a lot, but just Google it expediting passport. But and if you're already signed up, please check the date on your passport, because there is nothing worse than non-refundable tickets on a trip of a lifetime and your passport's out.
Yeah.
And
if you're thinking about it, just do it. Whether, if you haven't booked your flights yet, just get it out of the way, just so you're not caught on in that moment, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah. Just sign up with us. Sign up with us, but also I would do you shopping around, because as we found out in the past, there's great deals. You've got to be, one of those computer hawks, that's but you really can. We've had people go from Texas to Ireland and back for $500 ish when they use the right, when they watch the flights and do the, I'm lucky I have somebody to do that for me, because I wouldn't do it, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And obviously the flight is that's the biggest, that's the biggest worry out of the way, because we take care of everything. You jump on a bus with us, and it's just it's a trip of a lifetime. As if you've been, and if you haven't been, you should know. And you remember, the money you'll get back. You'll always get more money. You just won't get more time. So sign up today. We're gonna have a ball. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And SlapperCast. SlapperCast loves you. Cheers.
Yes, we do.